let's talk about how to build a dividend portfolio. Now, dividends are different than your typical investment because a lot of people will just put money into an index fund or something and let it sit for a while. Now, when you do that, there's nothing wrong, obviously, with doing that, but there's no income a lot of times, or very little income that's generated. And so, depending on your risk tolerance and depending on your investing goals, you may want to make decisions that are more aligned with those investing goals. And I would tell you that dividend stocks provide a way of earning income on a regular basis, and you can be very small starting out. And I'll give you an example. One of the stocks I've talked about on this channel, Stag Industrial, one of my favorites, trades at $35 per share, 3.5 roughly. I think the last time I could be wrong, but I haven't checked the price in a while. So say $35 a share. If you buy 100 shares of that stock, you're investing $3,500. Now 100 shares, and this company pays 12 cents per month. So they actually pay on a monthly basis, which is pretty cool. And so when you are looking at a monthly dividend distribution, you get monthly income first of all. But to start off, you're going to get a grand total of $12. I know it sounds exciting, really exciting. You can go get yourself a Big Mac if you want, or go get yourself a burger from Burger King or Taco Bell, a burrito. I don't know, coffee, whatever you want. But $12 doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up. And so what you want to try to do from that point is you want to try to reinvest the dividends, reinvest, and then take the dividends and make sure they're in a tax-deferred or a tax-free account, ladies and gentlemen. This is so important. If you're not putting the money into a tax-free account like a Roth IRA or a tax-deferred account, your dividends are going to be taxed, and that's not good. Nobody wants their dividends to be taxed. So unless you plan on using those dividends today, I would strongly recommend putting them into a Roth IRA, Roth 401k, some type of dividend investment, or something or some type of vehicle that is good for dividend investments, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so that's the first thing. The next thing is going to be, once you're actually investing, think about how much you're actually investing per month and how much is that really going to impact your long-term retirement goals. Now, keep in mind when it comes to your long-term retirement goals, everybody has different goals and everything. Let's say you want to make $10,000 per month in retirement. Sounds like a pretty lofty goal. Honestly, with inflation, I would say that's a good goal to have. Maybe even $20,000 per month by the time you get there, depending on everything, really. But if you're looking at inflation expectations being, let's just say 3% or 5% or whatever it is, and you have the inflation expectations there, what is going to be an acceptable return beyond that? You have your dividend yield, but remember, the yield is one thing. So don't focus just on the yield. If you have a dividend yield of 5% initially, that's great. But what if you have an increasing dividend on top of that? So the dividend goes up over time and you get more income from that. And so I think people forget that it's not all about just the yield. It's not all about just the interest rate, because when it comes to inflation, you want your income to go up higher than the rate of inflation. So we have to make sure that our income is going up. And I'll tell you, in the example of Stag that I used right there, that stock has increased its dividends, done nothing but increased dividends. Now, even though they've increased dividends, they've done so at a slow pace. So when it comes to actually inflation, they've increased their dividends at a lower pace of inflation. Now, the idea is that long term, they're hoping to increase their dividends more than the rate of inflation, to accelerate their dividend increases. But that can take some time. And so always focus not just on the yield, but the dividend, the actual dividend itself, and how much you're making from the growth and appreciation of that actual dividend. And then also, if you have a high yielding stock, obviously somebody will take a look at a high yielding stock and say, well, it's a good investment because I'm getting 7% initially. However, like I said, don't just focus on the yield, focus on the long-term opportunity. And also, if you have a 12% yield or whatever, even a 20% yield, and the ETF or the stock is down under, let's just say, it's gone from 50 to 25, it's gone down 50%. There's a reason for that, right? There's a reason why the yield is so high. It's because the stock's gone down 50%. So, it just, don't focus so much on the yield is the point, okay? The next thing I would say is obviously you have a choice between investing in dividend stocks individually, or you can invest in ETFs. You can invest in mutual funds. You can invest in all kinds of stuff. What I would say is that if you're new to investing, dividend ETFs can be good. Okay, if you're brand new to dividend investing, they give you the exposure without having to worry too much about diversification. So if you're brand new to investing, dividend ETFs or mutual funds can work pretty good. If you're not, then I would say, if you're more experienced and you want to learn how to self-direct your portfolio, or if you don't know how to self-direct your portfolio and yet you want to learn, we can teach you right here. But just check out investdaily.app and check out my other videos. Nonetheless, we are looking at what to do once you're actually invested. So then you have to think about the amount you're investing. Obviously, I think we briefly touched on that. So if you're investing $500 per month, $1,000 per month, obviously the more you invest, the better. And then what are you investing in? ETFs, mutual funds, what type of assets are you actually putting your money into? So that's what you have to look at when it comes to dividends. Anything else beyond that, it's pretty straightforward. Don't put your money into a mutual fund that promises X, Y, and Z if they're charging a huge fee. That's another thing. Watch the fees on the ETFs and mutual funds. The expense ratio in particular on ETFs, that's your main fee that you're going to be charged. And then on the mutual funds, you could have a variety of fees. So just be careful. A lot of mutual funds and ETFs will have low fees these days, but a lot of them will still try to get you. And I don't understand why people still pay 1+% management fees for subpar performance. It doesn't make any sense, especially in the age of AI. But Wall Street is so good at marketing, and it's such a highly regulated industry that they want you to think they have this proprietary, system, but really they're investing in the same basket of securities as everybody else, and their returns might not be nearly as good, right? So it's this idea that you can have tools and frameworks to help you. You don't have to necessarily rely on Wall Street, and that's why I'm trying to bring Wall Street to Main Street, or bring Wall Street to Main Street to help you guys out, because I believe in the mission of bringing Wall Street to the everyday investor, because I understand that they're not going to help you out. They want to keep all the money they can, and their business model is going to be wiped clean, I think, with all this AI stuff, and I'm hoping that happens, and I'm hoping I can be a part of that, because I think it's unfair that you have 40% of Americans not invested in the stock market, not invested in dividend stocks like we're talking about right now. And in fact, they are not even having a 401k or a stock portfolio because they don't have the education and nobody wants to teach them. And so this has been a problem for so long. No matter how much AI we have, until this problem is solved, I'm going to be right here talking about this because I'm passionate about this and I want to help people. So I hope you enjoyed this video, this brief one on dividend stocks. When it comes to this, once again, just to recap, think about what you're investing in, right? How much you're investing. But before you can get to all of that, if you're going to invest in mutual funds, ETFs, stocks, or if you're going to invest $500 or $1,000 a month, you have to work backwards. Think about what you are investing in, the type of vehicle. Make sure it's a Roth, preferably. Roth is great. Obviously, consult with a financial advisor if you need to, based upon your risk tolerance, investing goals, all that stuff. But a Roth IRA can be great. And then also think about traditional. But either way, get it into a tax-deferred or a tax-free account. And then finally, guys, a taxable account is not going to be ideal. So, but you have to open a brokerage account to begin with. So working backwards, once again, Fidelity is going to be a good choice. I like Fidelity. I'm not affiliated with them, but Fidelity is a great choice. Then you have Charles Schwab, other types of brokers as well. So choose a broker, and then you can deposit money. Then you can really start to look at and research what you want to invest in. But overall, it's a very, very simple process once you get the hang of it. I think it's just getting started, and this is the problem, is that the education is just not there. People are not researching this enough, and it's kind of like, here's the thing, even with AI, I think it's going to help out with all the extra knowledge we have and people are able to research the stock market. But the problem is a lot of people just don't do it, and they won't. So I'm going to keep on preaching the same message because I feel like I need to get that number down, the 40% plus of people who are not invested in the stock market. I feel like we need to get that number down substantially, and I can help do that. So let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.